Welcome to Not Starving Artists, the podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Benson, money coach and equity actor. I am your financial cheerleader, here to help you build your financial confidence and have power over your money. The best part, no budgeting or bi-weekly paychecks required. I went from being a broke BFA grad having weekly panic attacks about money to a financially confident, wealth-building actor and business owner. Money gets to feel fun, simple, and sexy, and I am going to show you how. Hey everyone, welcome to my brand new podcast series, Inside One-on-One Coaching, where I'm giving you an inside look on what a private money coaching call is actually like, and to show you how much can shift for you from just one single coaching session. These episodes are real one-on-one coaching calls. Some are with current and past clients, and some are people I've never coached before, and everyone has given permission for these calls to be shared with you here. A full one-on-one coaching package is 3 months long with weekly coaching sessions, unlimited text and voice messaging support with me, and access to the full video curriculum from my signature group coaching program, Cashed Up Creatives. One-on-one coaching is for creatives, business owners, and those of you whose brains just have a hard time following traditional money advice. You'll get personalized strategy and support to help you understand your numbers without a spreadsheet, fully fund your savings, invest your first $1,000, spend money guilt-free, and finally build a relationship with money that feels easy and supportive. The investment for this package is $4,000 or 3 monthly payments of $1,400. You can book a sales call with me to learn more about one-on-one coaching and what that would look like for you, and the link is in the show notes. Let's get to it.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Toria. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Tell me a little bit about who you are. I read your form, but I'd love to know a little bit
Oh
more.
yeah, sure. So I first off, I live in Atlanta and I have a now 7-year-old. And I work in digital advertising,
Mhm.
and in my spare time I like going out with friends to restaurants, going to concerts, and listening to podcasts. So yeah.
I love that so much. What's your favorite podcast right now?
Um, It sounds kind of basic, but what is it? I think Skinny but Not Fat podcast, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or I think, yeah. And then also Skinny Confidential. They're pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
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 Okay, so talk to me about what you want coaching on today. I know in your form it was retirement stuff, so tell me a little bit more.
Yeah, so I think, well, not I think, I know I could be more financially prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I'm gonna be honest, I feel like I'm already pretty good with my money. But in terms of retirement, I haven't really I don't have knowledge, and or I feel like no, well, yeah, knowledge, because I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, skill set, because I think it's just not being informed
Sure.
on how to be financially prepared for the future. I keep on drilling down retirement even in my intake form because I'll be turning 35 in November, and I kind of feel like, I don't know. I feel like 35 is like it's like a pivotal age and everything. And I'm like, yeah, there's some things I feel like I should have hammered down at 30, but life has slowed down a little bit where I'm like, okay, I still have time. I don't know. That's just like where my head is at.
Yeah, of course. So let's talk about the like knowledge gap that you feel about
Mhm.
retirement, or what has kept you from trying to fill that knowledge gap in order to then be able to take the action to invest.
Yeah, for sure. I think just being overwhelmed at the amount that could possibly be taken away in a paycheck.
Mm.
And I do have like already, I guess, a couple of set expenses that do not change from month to month. So this this probably sounds like an ignorant statement, but thinking to myself, wow, if I could not put, hold on, give me 1 second.
Mhm.
Hold on. Okay, okay, okay. Sorry, my son popped in to show me a library tattoo that a temporary tattoo that he got on his arm. So
Obsessed
apologies
with
for
that
that.
for him.
He's a library rock star, so I mean,
That's amazing.
okay, yeah. So let me like recalibrate. Okay, yes. Okay. So if this makes sense, if I'm not able to put, I don't know, I'm making up an amount, $1,000 to invest for retirement or put away for retirement, then in my head, right, why bother? Because in my head, I'm like, oh wow, $1,000, you could actually like, um, I don't know, make enough progress. So I don't know, I guess, minimums in my head if it's even a possibility. If that makes sense.
Sure.
Maybe that sounds like a random
Mm.
or inaccurate assumption, but
We're gonna play with calculations. We're gonna play with numbers here because
okay.
I want us to like have a visual as we're talking about this.
Okay.
Before we dive into that though, tell me about your company, right? Because you're on a W-2, correct?
Yes. Hmm.
Do they have a 401k that you could enroll into?
Yes, they have a company called Vanguard.
Uh-huh.
And I'll have to look at what percent they match. I
Great.
want to say it's 3%, but I'd have to double check.
Cool. What is 3% of your salary and like how much would that be coming out of your paycheck? Do you know those numbers?
Um, I'm embarrassed to say not off the top of my head, but I could give you an estimate. So
Yeah, give me
my
an estimate.
annual income is approximately like $75,000 a year.
Uh-huh.
And that translates to, I think, approximately like $6,000 a month before taxes. I think what it kind of boils down to, I'm guessing I'd have to look at the exact numbers. It's approximately, I think, like close to 5,000
Sure.
probably a month if I were to do the math.
Sure. So I just did some like rough running
Oh,
a
okay.
couple of rough numbers with a
Oh, okay.
3%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So for us to play with numbers
Right.
in this calculator, we're going to play with $200 a month. Now that's a little
Okay.
bit more than 3%, depending on
Right.
how it's being calculated, right? And things like that. But if you put in 3%, that's about 200 a month.
Okay.
And them matching that 3% means they're going to put in just as much. So you're going to
Okay.
put in 200, but you're actually investing 400 with an
Okay.
employer match. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to play with the number 400 as a monthly contribution.
Okay.
So I'm going to share my screen
Okay.
here and we're going
Perfect.
to play with this calculator.
Okay.
So currently, do you have zero in your investment accounts?
Yeah. Zero.
Amazing. Zero. Monthly contribution,
Mm,
400, right? Based on
okay.
the numbers we
Yes.
talked about. You said you're turning 35 in November, right?
Yes. Hmm.
We're going to play with retiring at 60, okay? Because that's
Okay.
just a standard number. So that
Okay.
means that's 25 years from now.
Okay.
25 years from now. So we're going to put that in. And then the estimated interest rate that you're going to earn, I'm going to put 10%. 10% is the average that you will see most retirement calculations base their math off of because
Okay.
over time in the stock market, the average rate of return interest that you are earning is 10%. Because some
Okay.
years it might be 30%, some years it might be negative 7%. Now, it's not usually negative 7%, but it does go up and down. But if your money's in there over 25 years, you're going to average earning 10% over the course of that time. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So that's why we're using 10%. And we're going to compound it annually. So I want you to see that's going to grow into $472,000. But the most important thing is that you have only put in $120,000.
Wow.
What's coming up as you see this math?
Um, well, I see $472,000, and I think that's way better than um zero and way better than like relying on assuming I think Social Security kicks in. I think it's 62, just relying on a Social Security check. Like I see 472 and I think I wow, even if I like, I don't know. I feel like that is, well, I mean, it's more than comfortable over time, is what I'm thinking in my mind. I'm sure I could calculate in my head even more, but I just see that number versus zero and a social security check and think, that's at 472 is probably a better financial place than the other
Yeah.
scenario in my head.
Exactly. So, a couple of other things I want to point out here. I'm so glad that you're having this reaction to these numbers because the other thing I want to say is that from putting $200 of your money away every single month for the next 25 years, you will earn $352,000 of income by doing nothing.
Right.
$352,000 doing nothing that you will have earned that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Right.
And that's
That's kind
just
of
from
like
$200 a
blowing
month.
my mind. It's kind
Tell
of
me
blowing my
more.
mind because, well, because also too, I'm thinking $200, like even as like, crazy sometimes, like I guess like my set expenses are $200. I'm thinking to myself, well, I easily spend $200 just like, I don't want to say screwing around, but like going out with friends or like getting Uber or Lyfts and like easily $200 and thinking to myself, would it really affect my life that much if, I reallocate that money over to thinking about
Yeah.
future me?
Exactly. Like that. And that's what I wanted to run these numbers for is that
Mhm.
your brain is telling you if it's not $1,000 a month, why bother? This is
Right.
why bother. This is
Right.
why.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to also show you the power of like baby increments as well.
Okay.
So let's say that you decide you want to contribute $300 a month. So you want to basically contribute an extra $100, an extra
Right.
bit
Okay.
of a percentage, okay?
Right.
So your company's still going to match you up to 3%. So we're still going to
Okay.
calculate their 200. We're going to bump you
Right.
up to 300. So now we're going to put in 500 as the number. Okay,
Okay.
and let's hit calculate. So now you're at 590, right?
Right.
So now let me run these numbers. Let me do 590 minus 150. So instead of now your money earning like you having 352,000 extra dollars, adding an extra $100 a month, now you're going to have 440,000 extra dollars of income,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
Between what you contributed and what you made.
Right.
So it's like
Wow.
almost $100,000 different.
Wow. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Again, like I'm just thinking a lot because again, yeah, I guess I thought that this would hold me back from other financial goals and or yeah, financial goals that I have. And as I'm like thinking about the future, and I don't think this will set me back from like other goals, like small goals, like for example, like oh, paying off a credit card, okay, whatever, or saving for a car, okay, like I mean that's $200 like out of everything is not going to make or break other goals that I have.
Yeah. So when it comes to prioritizing your investments, right?
Mhm.
Prioritizing retirement. The first thing I'll say is you can also take a baby step here rather than going to the full 3%. If your nervous system needs a minute to get on board and you just want to
Right.
start the process, you can contact your HR department and be like, hey, can we start with 1%?
Okay.
Right? You could start with 1% because that's going to have even less of an impact on your take home pay. You might not even notice it, right? But it's
Right.
going to
Okay.
start getting that ball rolling for you. And then your match is coming in as well. And then
Okay.
you could decide when you start feeling comfortable with that, when you're excited about that, when you prove to yourself and you have the evidence of like, oh, I'm not going to decrease my standard of living, right?
Right.
Putting a little bit into retirement. I have
Right.
the wiggle room. You're going to prove that to yourself, which is going to make it easier to increase the percentage.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
So you can do that as well.
Yeah.
Tell me about your other money goals here.
Yeah, so yeah, one of my money goals is to buy a car.
Hmm.
And yeah, that I mean that's been probably a money goal for a second, and I wouldn't say like too much of a second, but I don't have a car and I Uber and Lyft everywhere, and that adds up really quick. And so uh yeah, so like that's a big goal because obviously like I do know like car maintenance and all that stuff and insurance, etc. But at the end of the day, I do feel like financially it would be a little bit smarter than just Uber and Lyft.
Sure. So, one, I want to actually run those, like, I want you to actually run those numbers of it's
Okay.
probably a better financial decision to have a car than Uber and Lyft. Most likely, but let's also run the numbers to make sure. Do you have
Okay.
any other reason for wanting a car than it's probably a better financial decision?
Um, Honestly, so like I'm not dependent on, so like my sister works at my son's school, so my sister takes my son to school. And so as we're talking about, I don't know, independence and making choices and stuff, I want to have that independence um
Yeah.
in the future. And by the way, I like had recently gotten out of like an 8-year relationship with my son's father. We
Mm,
owned a home together.
mm,
I'm now living with family. So it's kind of like a whole bunch of like life changes and or gearing up for what hopefully the next 2 to 3 years of my life would ideally look like
mm.
kind of starting from ground zero.
Of
Pretty
course, of
much.
course. So with this, I just want to say here, whenever you go
Yeah.
through a big life change that
Mhm.
affects your finances,
Yeah.
like remembering to hold space for that. Like, of course, you haven't wanted to put time and energy towards figuring out retirement because, like, I'm sorry, you're going through a huge life change, right?
Yeah.
Like, of course, that's going to be low on the priority list.
Right, right. I feel like not in a bad way. I feel like I'm just disassociated from the fact that like, oh, big life change. Because as a mom, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's one of those things where you have your moment and then it's like, we gotta still go.
Yeah.
Like life is still going on.
Right. And that's why I'm calling this out right now because I'm like, no, no, we're gonna pause and
Oh yeah,
let's
yeah.
validate that.
Yeah, no, yeah, big, yeah, big life change. And also 8 years. I mean,
Yeah.
one could say pseudo marriage. I mean, all but piece of paper. So
Yes. Let's not, yeah, downplay it at all in the slightest. Okay.
yeah,
A
yeah,
life change is a life change.
yes, for sure.
So let's also clock the win here that you're spending 30 minutes getting coached on your money out of your day and how big of a deal even that is amidst all the life changes and stuff you're doing.
Right. Well,
So
yeah,
you-
thank you.
yeah. And why we're doing this too, why I want you to validate what's been happening and
Mhm,
kind of releasing some of that shame and throwing in like a celebration and a win here for you to
mhm.
immediately start celebrating is because when you forget to do that with your money, you end up just like checking boxes and like forcing your way to do the things you should do because it's responsible. And then you fuck up your
Adulting.
relationship with money.
Yeah.
Yes. And it feels like
Adulting, and then you don't make the mark 1 month and you're like, ugh.
yeah. And that's going to inevitably lead to another shame spiral.
Right. That
And then
makes
you're going
sense.
to stick your head in the sand again because you were like, it was easier when I wasn't looking at it because I didn't have to feel this guilt. We don't want to create that.
Right. Right. That makes sense.
Okay. So with this car goal, talk to
Mhm.
me about, have you made progress on it yet? Have you started to save for the car? What's going on with it?
So yeah, so as an aside, I have, of course, I'll have to, I guess, I, well, I'll have to probably talk to a CPA to figure out how much of so pretty much I got money from the, I guess, equity of the house that we were in. So my ex owns the house now. And I got what I put in. And so that exactly was $20,000.
Mhm.
So I am making plans, I think later this week or next week, to move that 20,000 over to like pretty much outside of where all my other money is.
Mhm.
So essentially I have 20,000 for a car, but I don't know how much of that tax wise anyway.
Sure.
So essentially that 20,000 is imaginary 20,000. I wouldn't make a car purchase probably until fall or spring of, well, probably spring of this year.
Yeah.
Um, just, with timing and taxes and everything. So, but I'll still contribute to that account knowing that that would be a goal of mine.
Cool.
Um, yeah.
Amazing. Where are you banking right now?
Wells Fargo.
Okay, cool. Do you have a checking account and a savings account? What accounts do you have with them?
So I just have, okay, this may sound like dumb, but I have like, I guess it's the checking account, but then like the savings underneath, but like it's not really it's not really separate, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. I don't unless I was like to see your Wells Fargo dashboard, I wouldn't for sure know, but it's like
Oh
separated
yeah.
out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like separated, but it takes like I still think I'm on that takes $1 from each transaction and then puts into it's just whatever the default is. Whatever you get if you wanted to bank with Wells Fargo tomorrow.
Sure.
Like the
So,
most basic.
yeah. So what's your system right now in like when your income comes in and then what you put towards like savings and other things versus what you spend?
Um, Pretty much I have a set grocery budget every week. So
Mhm.
like when I hit or when I see the email direct deposits available, um, I have a set grocery budget every week. Um, Trying to think what else. I only have one credit card with a balance that I'm trying to pay down. The balance I think is like $500 or $600.
Mhm.
Um, my student loan is on auto pay, and that's I think close to $300.
Mhm.
Um, and expense that like probably won't be long term, but right now it's just the setup, the way it is. It's the way it's always been. So I pay a family member to like watch my son, and it's pretty much, I mean, that's probably half of my income right there. Like I pay them 2,000 a month.
Mhm.
Um I'm trying to think of expenses. So it's 2,000 a month, about $300 a month for my student loan. Let's just minimum payments for credit cards are like $100, and then approximately $100 a week for groceries. So it's like probably $400 or $500 a month for that. And then I'm gonna guess probably $500 or $600 a month for Uber or Lyft.
Mhm.
But that's just off the top of my head. And of course, there are outliers to these things where it's like, going out to dinner with friends or taking my son to dinner. Um, but aside from that, I don't know. I work from home, so like I'm like for example, I'm not like I'm trying to think in my mind. I'm not shopping a lot. I'm not like buying a lot of clothes.
So what I'm hearing is like
Yeah.
everything drops into your paycheck drops into your
Oh
checking
yeah.
account and
Yes.
then all of these things get spent from that checking account
Yes.
and that's
Yes,
just
yes,
the
yes.
system.
Sorry. Yes.
No, you're
Yeah.
good. No, no, no.
Yeah, I'm sure you were asking about the system, and then of course I'm like giving the whole financial breakdown of the...
Yeah, but you're already doing the homework that I was about to give you,
Oh,
which
okay.
is I want you to find out your numbers, right?
Okay.
Of what gets spent every month. So I'm going to give you the two numbers I always tell people to find are your
Okay.
firm and your flex. Your firm
Okay.
is anything that's on auto pay or a bill. So
Okay.
your, phone bill, that $2,000, right? Like
Right.
childcare payment, credit card minimum, let's
Okay.
whatever that minimum is on auto pay,
Right.
student loan
Right.
payment, all of that.
Okay.
Find that number. And then
Okay.
you're going to find your average flex number, which
Okay.
is anything you're swiping your card for. So that's going to be Ubers, that's going to be groceries, that's going to be going out, that's going to be miscellaneous, like you need a couple of things from Amazon, right? Or you
Right.
pick up your face wash. All of that is going to be
Right.
your flex spending.
Okay.
So that is going to fluctuate month to month, but moving forward, I want you to decide what that amount is for you. So then what
Okay.
you're going to do is you're going to be able to add your firm number and your flex number together. And let's say it's like 4,000 plus 1,000, right? Give us a nice even
Right.
5,000. Um,
Right.
or it's not going to be that because your income is what? What did you say your average monthly income is?
Probably right around 5,000. I think I said like 6,000 before taxes, and then it probably ends up being right around 5,000.
Cool. So let's actually say that your like firm and your flex added together are 4,500. Great. When your
Okay.
paychecks come in, you get paid bi-weekly.
Yes.
Cool. Every 2 weeks, you're going to leave $4,500 in your account and you're going to transfer 250 to your savings.
Oh, okay.
So that way you can start building up because in addition to investing and retirement and things, you're going to want a habit of putting money away for future you so that you can have savings available for when you have to get car maintenance or when you decide to
Right.
like make a move, right? And you need to like,
Right.
you're a moving truck and like put down a security
Right.
deposit. You have the cash in the bank to
Right.
go.
Right. And some of those expenses, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, unless you're charging on a card, like unless you've saved and thought about it, you are left unprepared.
Yeah. So and that's something that can be done super simply. Again, with getting rid of that all or nothing mindset, right? Like, well, if I can't save $1,000, it's not even worth it.
Right.
$250 over the course of 12 months, let's just do that, is $3,000.
Yeah.
$3,000 at the end of a year in a savings account? I'm sorry,
Right.
you're having to, a car, your real wheel bearings break down or something, and you need to save
Right.
$800. You've got it in the bank. It doesn't need to come
Right.
on a card.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good.
Good. All right. So you've got some tactical homework for yourself. And
Yes.
so I want you to remember to like celebrate how big it is that you're even asking these questions, that you're even interested in learning about retirement, that you even took the time out of your day today to get coached on this stuff.
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. I definitely, like I said, that seeing that chart
Yeah.
and then seeing that number, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like if more people saw that, it would be like, oh, yeah, like,
Yeah.
because, well, not a quote, but a phrase that I've seen a lot. And again, as I turn 35 in November, I'm thinking to myself, oh, wait, this thing is in my head. I can't let go. Where it's like, if you have time, time is on your side for
Yeah.
these things. And I'm like, okay, 35. I feel like, okay, prime. I still
Yeah.
have time. It's
Mhm.
not like I'm 62 and I'm like, shoot, I should have been thinking about this when I was 35.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you saw the numbers. This is why
Yeah.
I'll never stop pulling up graphs and being like,
Yes.
investing, look at what we can
Yes.
do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. 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 Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Yes, I will definitely do that homework and send that to you.
So great. It was lovely to meet you today, Tori.
Yes, it was great meeting you too.
Have a great rest
Awesome.
of your week with your library superstar.
Yes, yes.
All right, bye.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Come join me on Instagram for more on how to build a simple, sexy relationship with your money. My Instagram handle is @NotStarvingArtists. And if you want to dive deeper with me, head to the show notes to learn more about one-on-one coaching. If you love this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend that you want to get rich with.